Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. So over the last 1 year, there is a constant debate on this topic. Can AI agents replace software engineers or not? If you're worried about AI agents replacing software engineers, you should watch this video till the end because in this video, we will talk about a source from Anthropic which says we are far away from that stage because of LLM poisoning. Now, what is LLM poisoning? I'm sure every one of you is aware of large language models. If you take any popular AI agents, they use large language models and they implement the tasks on our behalf. For example, if you ask Augment Code to write a Python application and deploy the application to AWS, let's say, Augment Code prompts a large language model. By default, it's Claude Sonnet 4. It gets the information and it implements the task on our behalf. So large language models are key for AI agents. Now these large language models are trained on huge amount of data. For example, large language models are trained on Reddit. They are trained on sources from Stack Overflow, books that are available on internet, white papers that are publicly available, or even they are trained on your personal data. If you have any personal website or personal blogs, they are also trained on that information. Now, LLM poisoning is a concept where bad actors or malicious actors inject malicious information to these sources. Let's take a very hypothetical scenario to make you understand better. Imagine a large language model is trained on Kubernetes architecture. Bad actors intentionally, you know, they create multiple copies of this wrong data and they inject this wrong data into multiple sources. Now, because LLM cannot decide if a particular information is right or wrong, it will be trained on the data. And because of this malicious data that is fed, LLMs might respond back with wrong information. Because of that, AI agents can perform the task incorrectly, or AI agents might respond back to you with improper information, right? It can be again deploying application, or it can be returning back information to you about Kubernetes architecture. But Abhishek, is this something new? Because this looks pretty straightforward. When large language models or these providers, when they started building the large language models, they must be aware of this. 100% yes. They were aware of this, but they initially thought, or they were in a misconception that huge amount of data will be required to train the large language models in a wrong way. Or if any bad actor or malicious actor, if they are trying to send wrong information to these sources, they need huge amount of wrong information to train the large language models in a wrong way, or for large language models to get wrong information from these sources. They thought these bad actors should be creating some thousands of copies, only then they can fool the large language models. But the recent study from Anthropic says, right, it is very useful article. If you see what this article says, we found that as few as 250 malicious documents can produce backdoor vulnerability in large language models. And that too, it can backdoor 13 billion parameters model. That means a very powerful model out there can be backdoored using just 250 malicious documents. Now imagine how small number is that. If you're talking about Kubernetes architecture, there will be thousands of copies, so it is easy for large language models to predict what is right, what is wrong. But if you're talking about a relatively new concept, right? Let's say we are talking about a new tool in the space of DevOps. And If the bad actors, malicious actors, start feeding wrong informations into these sources, then it will be very difficult for the large language models to understand what is right, what is wrong. Because it takes only 250 documents, even for 13 billion parameter powerful model to be backdoored. To add to it, this document also says large language models like Claude, Claude, which is a very, very powerful one. Large language models like Claude are pre-trained on enormous amount of public text from across the internet, including your personal websites and blogs. This means anyone can create online content that might eventually end up in models training data. That means even if you create your personal website, it might end up into Claude's training data, and this can be very dangerous for the models because malicious actors can inject specific text into these posts to make models learn undesirable or dangerous behaviors. So this is one of the main reasons why LLM poisoning can be serious for AI agents or large language models. What does this mean to the organizations? They cannot trust AI agents or large language models, and they cannot leave the task to these AI assistants at this point of time. Still, human intervention or man in loop is required. But Abhishek, how large language models are going to overcome this problem? Of course, this is not easy, but one of the easy ways to do it is trusted sources. Instead of large language models being trained on random data, if large language models will be trained on trusted sources, it can be some trusted YouTube channels, or it can be some trusted articles, trusted blogs, trusted websites, then there is a chance that large language models will not run into LLM poisoning. However, this is difficult at this point because they can run into copyright issues, or these large language models might not find huge amount of data. Again, if large language models will not be trained on huge amount of data, that will lead to model hallucination. Again, that's a different problem. So models need huge amount of data, and huge amount of data can lead to LLM poisoning because there are many bad actors out there. So this is something new. Um, lot of information is posted publicly about LLM poisoning. I will try to share these documents. Even uh, Grok 4, which is another powerful model, uh, even it was jailbreak recently, and people believe it can also be because of LLM poisoning. So one thing is sure, we are far, far away from large language models or AI agents replacing humans. I hope you found this information useful. Make sure you go through the sources in the description. See you all in the next video. Take care. Bye bye, everyone.